If you enjoy RVs as much as I do, you're going to want to watch this video. Today, I'm going to go over some key insights on where the RV park growth sector is. And this is good knowledge for you as an RVer or you as an RV park investor, because growth in our industry is going to be key to unlocking more fun adventures here in the future. So, you know, let's talk about a little bit of metrics, a little bit of where we were a couple years ago to where we are today, and what we can expect to, you know, see here in the future of RVing and RV parks and campgrounds in general. It's actually quite exciting what's happening in our industry. So, right now we're seeing just absolute massive growth and interest in the RV park industry. And for being in it and being around it my entire life, from my father having a dealership before I was even born, to now operating my own dealership and being an RV park consultant for, more than 7, 8 years now. I am super thrilled to see the interest in this sector, because we are going to start seeing some great people building some great things for you, the RVer. And I'm going to be a part of that. And so, I just want to kind of go over some stats and let you know where things are going. And so, let's look at this. So, last year in 2024, there was, roughly 10.6 to 10.7 billion dollars in RV parks and campgrounds here in the United States of America. This year we are projected to hit 10.9 to 11 billion dollars in campgrounds. That's a 2.5% market growth in 1 year. That is adding $200 to $400 million in campgrounds. Wow, that is a lot. And what's most exciting about this is the old school campgrounds were, really just a place to park. There wasn't really anything that was considered luxury, um, modern. I don't know if you always want modern, but luxury or resort style. That was really a hidden gem for the upper class. You see a lot of them in Arizona and mainly Florida. These motor coach resorts where people have amenities up to the wazoo. Now, those have been around for years and years and years, but once again, access is very limited to the common public. And quite honestly, I don't think that's fair. I think everybody deserves to be able to, visit a luxury RV park or a RV resort with amenities that everybody can enjoy from all price levels. And so we've got a lot more investors that are entering the market with open minds to understanding the new behaviors and interest that people are really looking for. Not everybody, wants to pitch a tent these days. Some people are liking the glamping industry, which is just fancy tents. Some people like the tiny cabin aspect of it, and that's why you're seeing more, cabins popping up at some of these RV parks and campgrounds. So that's just another revenue source for the RV park owner, operators, and investors. But it also gives people a chance to get out to these parks and add a little bit more diversity, instead of there just being hundreds of RVs sitting around. I'm just super excited about this growth. And so, roughly last year, there was about 16,000 RV parks and campgrounds in the United States of America. And by the end of this year, we're projecting to see closer to 16,400 to 16,500 RV parks online. That's an increase of 250 to 400 RV parks in 2025 that are going to be built. Wow. I mean, That's a couple to each state, right? Um, so there is going to be new operators online, new parks online. So, make sure and do your research to find these new places. It's always, in the past, people have, joined membership clubs. That's a little bit of a thing of the past. A lot of the memberships, um, parks are going away. That method is just not working. So, these parks are being open to the public that some people haven't had access to. So that's one nice thing. Um, and two, you're seeing a lot more amenities being poured into these new parks. Um, Not just a place to park. Now there are a lot of people that are just building very low end parks, but those are the people that are just chasing the dollar, and that's okay. We all need to make a living. Um, but I don't feel that's going to be a long term um, good investment for them. I always say invest in the customer experience, and that's where the longevity of your profits and income will flow from. Invest in the customer before the profits, and the profits will come. So, whether you're an RV or an RV park investor, you probably like hearing that. So, you're going to hear me say that a lot in my videos, customer experience. Because really, this is a hospitality industry, and people are, you know, they work so hard throughout the year to take, 2 to 3 vacations a year, from anywhere from 3 days to 7 days on average. And, you know, we want to we want to make it the best possible experience for them as possible. And so you have to look at the big picture and the small picture. The tiny details matter. And I'm really seeing, about a third of these parks that are being built really add more customer experience to it. You know, pickleball courts, pools, on-site laundry facilities, gyms. They're bringing more lifestyle to the parks, campgrounds, and resorts. So you don't have to just hang out in your RV anymore. There's activities to go do. And I mean, at the end of the day, I believe most of us are going RVing to create an experience and enjoy activities. Um, Not every place, not every state has beautiful mountains to go climb. So when we go to an RV park, we really want to be able to almost just stay at the RV park and enjoy the RV park and have activities at the RV park. I believe convenience is a bigger factor. Um, in the past, a lot more RV parks were really only built in areas that had massive attraction, which means that people would leave the park and, go enjoy attractions around it. And really, it was just a place to park. That is not the case anymore. More and more people are going to parks to enjoy the park itself. And it doesn't mean that it has to be some 100, 200 acre property, although that's what I love. That's rare. So there has to be some amenities, and not one amenity fits all. So the more versatility you have, the better. Generally in the past, we've only seen activities and amenities at the big places like KOA. If you're in the RV park industry, you know what KOA is, Campgrounds of America. Now, I, they have a different path pushing forward. You're seeing a lot of KOAs shut down, but they still are the largest uh, campground brand out there. So, but, when you go to KOAs, you're gonna see a pool, you're gonna see a blob in the lake, to bounce on. You're gonna see trampolines. You're gonna see mini golf. That's a big one. Of course, that's also one of my biggest pet peeves because, people just don't maintain their mini golf courses, very well. Um, and and maintaining the property is a huge thing. You can't just build an RV park and expect it to maintain itself. Um, for investors, yes, it's a great cash flow opportunity. But remember, you have to continue to reinvest some of those profits to keep the park in healthy shape and continue to deliver on the same customer experience you opened the park with. Don't neglect the park. That's neglecting your customers. And that will not lead to a longevity park, especially with all of the RV parks coming online. Competition is getting stricter. Marketing is getting out there. Currently, more than 50% of the RV parks in America don't even have online booking portals. There is a very large pool of outdated RV parks and the methods and applications that they use. People want convenience. So you're going to see all these new parks have more opportunities, nicer websites, nicer marketing, nicer, online booking, ease of access, interactive maps, amenities, general stores. Now that's always been, kind of a popular thing, but, taking that, a step further and providing, ice and providing, propane services and resort style pools. Especially if you're in a southern state. I mean, if we're going camping in the summer, we want water. So if you don't have a lake and you don't have a river, you need a pool. And please make the pool bigger than a shoebox, because I do see a lot of these pools being about the same size as the one that was in my backyard growing up in Texas. And well, I know when we had 10 people in that pool, we were running into each other. And if you have 100 spots with the average of 2 people per spot, that's 200 people. And even if only 10% of those people are using that pool, that's 20 people in that pool. You really have to break this down, you know. Um, now KOAs, they always had a little bit bigger pools because, they started out very smart. When it comes to building their parks, and they kind of were the giant in the industry and the connoisseurs in the industry. But that's not the case anymore. There is a lot of flavor of RV parks coming along online. There's some themed resorts, kind of like Margaritaville. That's a huge one. Wow, they are spending a loads of money building these places. Now I look at places like Margaritaville, that's more like a Hilton resort style vibe. And if that's your vibe, great. Luxury, top of the line, you're going to pay top of the line price. But some of us like all of that convenience. Some of us like all of that really luxury amenities. But amenities doesn't just mean luxury. It doesn't just mean pools. It doesn't just mean fitness, or business centers and Wi-Fi and all that. To me, amenities is anything that you can do at an RV park. Meaning, on some of the adventure parks, I call them adventure parks, not RV parks, not campgrounds, adventure parks, that, I've been a part of and that are in the works, are large scale land operations with trail systems, golf cart system, e-bike rentals. There's, to me, more physical activities involved in that RV park campground that I call an adventure park than your typical park. Um, I see a lot of people, when they build on a flat piece of land and they gotta have detention or retention ponds, and then they talk about it in their advertising. Oh, come fishing at our pond, and when you get there, it's y- like super small, and come walk on our trails, and there's just a little trail like around their tiny little pond. Um, so you got to be careful because I'm seeing a lot of overpromise, underdeliver in the RV park aspect. Um, because to me, those are just, money hungry people that are just looking for a quick buck. Um, and once again, that is not a longevity practice. That is not going to hold customer retention. So with this massive market growth, once again, I only believe about 25% to a third of them are actually going to succeed. Two-thirds of these parks are not going to make it, or they're not going to draw the crowd that they want, or they're not going to make the kind of money that they projected. And the investors are going to lose. I've seen several $5 to $15 million parks that can't even debt service. Um, they put $7 million on concrete in there, a tiny little pool, a little chipping green, and call it a resort. And honestly, it's tomfoolery. It's just a ploy on words. It's the old car salesman, dealer method. You know, oh, it's in perfect condition, and then you come see it, and well, it's not. Um, no family wants to travel, 500 miles plus to a campground with the expectations and get there and be completely disappointed. That's not the goal of our industry. And so at some point, you have to put the customers at the forefront of your operation. And to me, that's with any business. As an RV dealer and RV service shop owner as well, uh, the customer is going to come first. I will lose profit on a job in order to satisfy the customer. If the quality is not up to my expectations, I will continue until that quality meets my expectations, which is very high, which will meet the customer's expectations. Because I'm looking to be here for the long run, not the short. And too many people these days are looking for the quick buck, just chopping in a couple sites in their backyard. That's okay. It's okay. I mean, people have been doing that for many years. That's why 80% of the 16,000 parks that are online right now are owned by mom and pops, baby boomers. Those were people that just started building parks on their land, not necessarily RV park investors, gurus, business gurus. They, they saw a need in their area. They like RVs, and they just started chopping in some sites, and people started coming and from their area, and they just kept building more and more and more. So, um, I believe there's going to be a lot of turnaround, and I believe that 80% of mom and pops are going to probably decrease to around 40 and 50% mom and pops over the next 2 to 5 years as new investors are hitting the market and buying them up. Now, that comes with a double-edged sword because, the first thing that happens in really any industry when a new investor, enters a market is they like to raise rents. And that's with single-family homes, and that's with multifamily. Somebody comes in and they're like, oh, well, if we can just increase the rents, 5%, that's all bottom line. Great. Cool. Don't destroy the customer base that you have. If you're going to raise rents, do something with the park that is deserving of that. Remodel the pool, remodel the mini golf. Make sure you're not just trying to just increase your pockets and satisfy your investors um, to a point where over the next 1 to 5 years, you're gonna start losing your customer retention, the customer base that that park already had. Um, don't scare them away. Um, if you lose a few in the transition, I get it. That can happen, and I understand, some of these a lot of these mom and pops, may be under market. Um, but don't do it so much that you're losing the ability to retain the customers and the following that they've had for so many years, you know? Um, and another thing is, management. New management's always difficult because generally the mom and pops are very involved and, they'll escort you to your site. They're there if you need them because they take pride in it because there's very much a personal attachment to that park. And then sometimes you get these new managers in there and they're just not willing to go the extra mile because it's not their name on the door anymore, you know? Um, so for RV park investors and, people looking to get into that industry or in that industry, make sure that your management aligns with the park's past presence of management. Now, if it was bad management, then obviously don't match that. And, you got an easy one to trump. And, if it's an underrated park, now you have the opportunity to make it top rated, right? Put it under new management, add a couple amenities. Maybe you got to raise your prices a little bit to cover the expenses of those amenities. I get that. Okay. Um, but always look to do more. You know, I believe if you are staying level in this world, you're actually slightly going down because everything else, the cost of goods go up, the expense of living, the expense of labor, everything's going up. So shouldn't your business be going up, which an RV park is a business at the end of the day. And for RV owners, we need to understand that as well. Um, they have to make money, uh, just like an apartment complex and a single family and a business makes money. But, not to the point that you deteriorate the the value of the park when it comes to the customers it already has and has maintained for many and many years. If you're an RV owner and you know, you own an RV, you travel in an RV, you camp at RV sites, RV resorts, and campgrounds. Um, comment if if you're seeing something at some of these new parks that you don't like. And also comment what you do like. It's very important that we get as much feedback as possible because there are so many parks that are coming online. I want to make sure that they are up to the standards of the new age RVer because there is massive growth in our sector. And there's even a younger following than ever entering the RV market. People like the nomad freedom part of it. Instead of going to a hotel and sleeping on somebody else's bed, you get to stay in your own bed every night. And you know what? People sleep better in their own beds. It just is what it is. You don't have to take your clothes out and unpack every couple nights. It is your home on wheels. And people love that aspect. I love that aspect. Freedom, unattached, right? No foundation to hold your house down. An engine, a trailer, or some wheels, and you're out on the road. So I believe it's the freedom that is really gaining more attention in the RV sector, especially with interest rates and property taxes and house maintenance and all that jazz. Owning a house isn't as much of an investment as it used to be. You know, um, they used to say you need to live in your house, 2 years to start, seeing some principal pay down and some equity, right? Well, now that's 5, 6, 7, 8 years before that ever happens. And not everybody stays in the same place for that long. Um, Especially with the opportunity of jobs everywhere these days. So there's a lot of unplugged jobs, I like to call them. People who can, you know, uh, do what I'm doing right here and just jump online and get on a Zoom and do their work from their computer, their home. Now, that's not what I do. I have brick and mortars, that I have to go to every single day. But I use a lot of that technology for my RV parks because I can't be at every RV park that I'm consulting on, helping develop, or a part of, um, at the scale that I'm doing it at. So, yes, there is a lot of mobile conversation, a lot of mobile business um, uh, going on with that for me. So, I really understand both parts. And for the people who are stationary, it even makes it more enjoyable when we do get out, right? For that 3 to 7 days on average, when we can actually leave where we're at every day, day after day after day, same day, every day, 9 to 5, day. So when we can get out, we really want to enjoy it. So, I hope my message is clear. Comment on the things you like and the things you don't like. What you like about the old parks, what you don't like about the new parks. Anything. Because the more information I can gather and get out, the more I can help optimize all these new parks coming online to benefit the customer experience, which is me, which is you, the RV owner or the RV park investor who's hoping for great customer experience because that leads to great customer retention, which leads to return business, which leads to money, profits, which is why you're building or developing the RV park to begin with. So it's a mutual benefit. The RV owner gets a better customer experience, and you get a better rated park that develops you more long-term returns for a longer term. And if you're looking to flip it, well, your valuation is going to go up the roof because of your occupancy rate, which is going to lead to a bigger and better bottom line. So, I appreciate you watching this video. I felt that we just needed to kind of talk about where the industry's going. And, I really, really am looking for more feedback from RV owners themselves. I get a lot of feedback at my brick and mortars. I get a lot of feedback when I'm at those parks, but I know we can do a lot more reach online. And so, let's work together on this to make our industry better because we're better and stronger together, than, doing this apart. So I appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. And if you liked it, watch this next video. You're going to love it and appreciate you. Have a blessed day.